The day Ethan Cole's life changed for the second time started with a flat tire on a road nobody important ever drove. He had been doing 90 on the interstate, windows up, suit pressed, mind already 3 steps ahead of the meeting waiting for him in Mesa Ridge. Then came the sound, a low, ugly pop, and the wheel yanked left like something angry had grabbed it. He pulled onto the gravel shoulder and sat there for a moment, staring at the dashboard, jaw tight. His driver was 2 hours behind him. His phone had 1 bar, and outside the window, the Arizona sun was pressing down on everything like it had something to prove. He got out, loosened his tie exactly 1 inch, and looked around. There was nothing in either direction except flat brown earth, a few stubborn Joshua trees, and about half a mile ahead, a faded sign that read, Red Hollow, population 140. He started walking. Sonny's Grill sat at the edge of town like it had been there since before the town had a name. The paint was peeling on the sign. The parking lot had 2 trucks and a bicycle. Through the window, Ethan could see a ceiling fan turning slowly, doing nothing useful about the heat. He pushed open the door and walked in. The place went quiet. Not dramatically quiet, just the way small towns go quiet when something unfamiliar walks through the door. 3 men at the counter looked up from their coffee. A woman in a corner booth paused mid-bite. Someone turned down the radio. Ethan stood there in his $1,500 suit and looked for a place to sit. "Anywhere you like, hon." The voice came from behind him. He turned, and the floor beneath him shifted without moving. She was carrying 2 plates and walking toward a table near the window. Her hair was pulled back. She wore a pale blue uniform with a name tag he couldn't read from that distance. She moved quickly, efficiently, the way someone moves when they've been doing the same thing for years and stopped thinking about it. She set the plates down, smiled at the couple at the table, a practiced smile, polite and hollow, and turned back toward the counter. That was when she saw him. She stopped, not suddenly, just a small hesitation, like a skipped heartbeat. Her eyes narrowed slightly, reading his face the way you read something you think you've seen before but can't quite place. Ethan didn't move. His chest was doing something strange. "Can I help you?" she said again, this time slower. He sat down at the nearest table. "Coffee," he said. "Please." She brought it without a word, set it down in front of him, started to turn away. "Lila," he said. She turned back, looked at him, really looked, and there it was. The moment her face changed, the practiced smile disappeared. Something older and truer replaced it. Her lips parted slightly. Her eyes moved across his face like she was counting something. "Ethan?" she whispered. "Yeah," he said, "it's me." She stood there for a full 3 seconds, not saying anything. Then she laughed. Short, surprised, a little broken at the edges. "What are you doing here?" "Flat tire," he said. "Of course," she said, and for a moment, just a moment, she sounded exactly like the girl he used to know. They had grown up 6 blocks from each other in a small city in New Mexico that neither of them had stayed in. Lila Monroe had been the kind of person who made other people feel like their ideas were worth chasing. She was the one who'd sat across from 17-year-old Ethan at a library table and told him, with full conviction, that his terrible business plan for a college coffee startup was actually not terrible. It just needed structure. She'd helped him rewrite it. He'd won a state competition with it. It was the first time someone outside his family had told him he was capable of something real. He'd carried that with him. He'd built a company with it. And somewhere in the years between then and now, he'd lost track of her entirely. He watched her now as she moved between tables, refilling cups, tucking receipts into her apron pocket. She was 34, same as him. But she moved like someone carrying more years than that. There was a slight unevenness in her step. Not quite a limp, but something close to it. Her shoulders were set in a way that spoke of mornings started too early and nights ended too late. The smile she gave customers was generous and completely automatic. She came back to his table between rounds. "You look different," she said. "So do you," he said, then immediately regretted it. But she just nodded, like it wasn't a surprise. "The suit," she said. "Things worked out for you." "They did." "Good," she said, and she meant it. That was the thing about Lila. Even now, even here, standing in a diner in a town nobody came to on purpose, she meant it. "You were always going to do something like that." "You were too," he said quietly. She looked at him for a moment. Then someone called from across the room. "Lila, table 6. Be right there," she called back. And just like that, she was gone again. Ethan wrapped both hands around his coffee cup and looked out the window at the empty highway. "It does," he agreed. She looked at him then with something unguarded in her face. "What about you? Talk. Because I've been doing all the heavy lifting here." He laughed, genuinely, for the first time all day. "You really haven't changed." "I've changed plenty," she said. "I just haven't lost my manners about it." So he talked. He told her about the early years after high school, the startup that almost failed twice, the investors who believed and the ones who didn't, the slow grinding climb towards something that looked, from the outside, like overnight success. He told her about the loneliness that came with it, the way rooms full of people who admired him could still feel completely empty. She listened, the way she always had, fully, without interrupting. "You know what I never forgot?" he said. "Don't say the library." "The library," he said. She groaned softly. "You told me my idea was worth something when I was convinced it was garbage. You stayed for 3 hours helping me rewrite that whole presentation." He shook his head. "I don't think I'd have submitted it without you." "You would have," she said. "I wouldn't," he said firmly. "You were the first person outside my family who treated my ideas like they deserved to exist. That matters. That kind of thing shapes people." She was quiet for a moment. Then she said softly, "I'm glad it helped you. Where did yours go?" he asked. "Your ideas, the bookstore cafe, the events work you were doing. Where did all that go, Lila?" She looked at the table. "Survival doesn't leave much room for ideas." "I know," he said. "But survival isn't supposed to be permanent." If you're still watching up to now, type "I'm still here" in the comment section and tell us, do you think Ethan should step in, or should Lila find her own way back? She looked up at him sharply when he said it. Not angry, just alert. "What does that mean?" she asked. He leaned forward slightly. "I have a property in Silvergate City, mixed-use building, offices, a small events floor, a retail space on the ground level. I've been looking for someone to manage the events side for almost 8 months. Someone organized. Someone who actually understands how to build an atmosphere, not just follow a checklist." She stared at him. "Ethan, training is covered, the salary is fair, housing assistance for the first 3 months while you get settled. Ethan, you ran an events space before. You were good at it. You said so yourself." "I said that about a different version of me," she said, her voice tightening. "I don't think versions of people work that way," he said. She pushed back from the table slightly. Her jaw was set. "I don't want charity." "I know," he said. "I mean it. I've taken enough help that felt like pity. I won't do it again." "I'm not offering pity," he said, and his voice was quiet but certain. "I'm offering a job to someone I believe is qualified. The fact that I know you personally doesn't change what's on your resume." "My resume," she said flatly. "I wait tables in Red Hollow, Ethan." "Before that," he said, "you ran an operation, managed staff, coordinated vendors, and grew a client base from scratch." "I know, because you told me just now. That doesn't disappear because things fell apart." She said nothing. "I'm not saving you," he said. "I'm reminding you who you are." The fan turned. The truck outside had long gone. The diner was almost empty now, and the afternoon light was coming through the window at a long, golden angle, the kind that makes even worn-out places look like they might have something left in them. Lila looked at him for a long time. Then she said, "I need to think about it." "Take all the time you need," he said. She thought about it all night. not in the way you think about a decision when the answer is obvious and you're just waiting for your nerves to catch up. She thought about it the hard way, sitting at the small table in her apartment above the hardware store with a glass of water she kept forgetting to drink and the sounds of Red Hollow settling into nighttime silence around her. She thought about the last time she had trusted someone's offer, the way her ex-husband had smiled when he made promises, the way she had believed him because she'd wanted to, because wanting something badly enough had always felt to her like a reason it might be true. She thought about her father, in the care facility 2 towns over, who still recognized her on good days and called her by her mother's name on the bad ones. She thought about the drive she made every other Sunday, the way she always stopped at the gas station for the orange juice he liked, the way she held his hand and talked about nothing important because the important things hurt too much. She thought about the event space she used to run, the way she'd felt standing in the middle of a room she had arranged from nothing, watching people fill it, the particular satisfaction of a thing working the way you'd planned. She hadn't felt that in a long time. She picked up her phone and put it down 4 times before midnight. At 6:15 in the morning, before her shift, she called him. He picked up on the second ring. "I have conditions," she said. There was a pause. Then quietly, "Tell me." "I want a proper contract. Nothing informal. Nothing that disappears if things get uncomfortable." "Done," he said. 3 months later, Ethan walked into the events floor of his Silvergate City building on a Tuesday afternoon and stopped. The room had been rearranged. The layout he'd approved in the original plans was gone, replaced by something better, a more intuitive flow, the kind of space that made you feel welcome before you'd spoken to anyone. There were clean sight lines to the entrance, soft overhead lighting that could be adjusted without a technician, and along the far wall a narrow built-in shelf of books that nobody had asked for and somehow improved everything. His operations manager, a practical woman named Carol who was difficult to impress, was standing near the door, holding a tablet. "Your friend did that," she said, gesturing at the shelf. "Said the room needed a soul." Ethan smiled. He found Lila in the side office, on the phone, walking through a vendor timeline with the efficient precision of someone who had been doing it for years. She was in a charcoal blazer he hadn't seen before, hair down, a pen tucked behind her ear. She held up one finger when she saw him, "Give me a moment," and kept talking. He waited. When she hung up, she turned to him, and the smile she gave him was nothing like the one he'd seen in the diner. That one had been armor. This one was real. Tired around the edges in the good way, the way people look when they're actually using themselves up on something that matters. "Carol told me you reorganized the floor," he said. "The original layout made no sense for high-attendance events," she said. "I sent you a memo. I got the memo. I approved it." "Then why are you looking at me like that?" "Because you put books on the wall," he said. She tilted her head. "Is that a problem?" "It's the best thing in the building." She laughed, full and unguarded, the laugh he remembered from 20 years ago, and turned back to her desk. "I have a vendor call in 10 minutes and a walkthrough at 4. Are you here for something specific or just hovering?" "Just checking in," he said. "I'm fine," she said. And the remarkable thing was that she meant it, not in the way people say it when they're managing, in the way people say it when it's simply, quietly true. He nodded. "I can see that." He left her to her work. Standing in the elevator on his way back up, Ethan thought about the version of himself that had almost driven straight through Red Hollow without stopping, the meeting he'd rescheduled and later canceled, the flat tire that had felt at the time like nothing more than a bad morning. Not every turning point announces itself. Some of them look like a broken-down car on a desert highway, and a worn-out diner, and a woman you used to know carrying plates she was always too good to be carrying. Sometimes the most important thing you can do for another person isn't to fix their life. It isn't to hand them money or solutions or a clean path forward. It's to stand in front of them and say, "I remember who you were before the world got to you." And I think she's still in there. That's not charity. That's not rescue. That's just one person reminding another that they haven't disappeared, that somewhere underneath the survival and the silence and the years of just getting through, there is still someone worth becoming again. If someone once believed in you before you believed in yourself, carry that. And when you see someone who needs it, pass it on. If this story moved you, please subscribe to True Spark Stories for more. And don't forget to like this video. Every single one of you watching makes these stories possible. We'll see you in the next one.